Not guilty.
Rihanna is speaking out after A$AP Rocky was found not guilty on 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm on Tuesday, February 18th. The Fenty Beauty founder took to her Instagram story shortly after the verdict to share her reaction to the news. "The glory belongs to God and God alone. Thankful, humbled by his mercy," she wrote above an emoji of praying hands.
Turned into a quiet night out to celebrate.
Congrats, A$AP.
New video, Rocky taking her hand in his as they walked into the private Beverly Hills club Gravitas together.
Hey, how does it feel to be back with your family, my man?
Inside, we're told they celebrated with friends, wine, and champagne. The serene scene so different than the one outside of the courthouse as they left.
We blessed to be here right now, to be a free man talking to y'all.
What are you enjoying about this journey with Riri right now?
Everything about it. I'm loving it.
She a fashion killer, and I'm a trendy.
Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's relationship proves that love is always in style.
I know, thank you so much.
Guys,
I ain't trying to go for it.
look, guys. Guys. Let him speak. Hey, guys, we can't do this if everyone's gonna yell. We'll just have to leave. But listen. Guys, listen.
I want to thank the jury for making the right decision, you know? And I'm just so thankful. This is crazy right now. That this whole experience has been crazy for the past 4 years, but I'm thankful.
A$AP Rocky thrilled after he was acquitted in his felony assault trial. With that in the rear view, the rapper and his partner Rihanna are turning a new leaf. A source tells ET it was very hard and stressful leading up to it, but they're so thankful they can move on now.
A jury unanimously found the rapper not guilty after he was accused of shooting at his former friend, rapper Terrell Efron, on a Hollywood street in 2021. If he had been found guilty, the rapper could have faced up to 24 years in prison. Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan J. Hotchman released a statement following the verdict, which read in part, "While today's verdict is not the outcome we sought, we respect the jury's decision and the integrity of our justice system."
Sometimes the most captivating stories are the ones nobody sees coming. It was a case so laden with mystery and speculation that fans didn't know what to believe. A$AP Rocky, one of the biggest names in the music world, facing felony charges that carried a daunting sentence of up to 24 years. Most people braced themselves for a media circus. Few expected the dramatic moment when the clerk read out "not guilty" before a stunned courtroom, and even fewer anticipated Rihanna's surprising response. This single verdict sent ripples through the entertainment world, leaving everyone with one pressing question: how did we even get here? The story begins months before the verdict was even on the horizon, when an allegation erupted that threatened to derail everything A$AP Rocky had worked for. The accusation was jarring, an alleged confrontation on a Hollywood street in 2021, culminating in what prosecutors described as an assault involving a semi-automatic firearm. Suddenly, tabloids and social media lit up with speculation, theories, and knee-jerk judgments. Was this a straightforward case of violence, or was there more to it? Law enforcement had enough to bring charges against Rocky, whose real name is Rakeem Myers, and from there, the legal roller coaster took off. The idea that a global superstar, well known for his collaborations with top brands like Gucci and Puma, could face nearly a quarter century behind bars fueled countless headlines. Social media turned into a battlefield of opinions. Some believed Rocky would walk away unscathed thanks to celebrity privilege, while others insisted he'd be made an example of because of his high profile. These initial allegations rocked fans across the globe. But it wasn't just the potential prison time that made people lean in. It was the sheer shock that it was happening at all. The controversy gained momentum when rumors leaked that the key witness was no random bystander, but rather Terrell Efron, an old friend and fellow rapper. Supposedly, he was the one who accused Rocky of pulling the trigger. As details emerged, the swirl of rumors turned from mild curiosity to near obsession. Was this friend motivated by something personal? Or worse, was there financial gain to be made? With every new piece of gossip, the story grew more complicated. Anyone remotely following the case realized this wouldn't be your average courtroom drama. Rocky's calm demeanor in public interviews contrasted starkly with the severity of the accusations. Viewers could sense that something deeper was about to unfold, setting the stage for a trial that no one in the music scene would soon forget. As the trial date approached, curiosity reached fever pitch. On social media, fans speculated about how the hearing would play out. What they didn't expect was the intense atmosphere that overtook the courtroom once proceedings began. From day one, it was clear that the defense and the prosecution had clashing views on nearly everything. The prosecution portrayed Rocky as a man who had allowed fame to shield him from consequences, hoping the jury would see his celebrity status as further evidence of a belief that he was above the law. They emphasized that a firearm had allegedly been discharged in public, pushing the argument that Rocky had endangered a person's life, namely his ex-friend Terrell Efron. But behind the scenes, Rocky's legal team had a very different narrative. They cast doubt on whether any shots were fired at all. They leaned into holes in the evidence, pointed out inconsistencies, and suggested that the entire accusation might be rooted in something far more personal than justice. Terrell's credibility soon became the epicenter of the trial. If he was indeed lying for personal gain, the entire prosecution case could collapse like a house of cards. Did Efron truly have an agenda, or was he a genuine victim? Court transcripts from those early days revealed a tense energy in the room. Observers noted the unflinching stares, the carefully worded arguments, and the jurors who seemed to be grasping for hard facts that never fully materialized. The biggest question: where was the undisputed proof? If there was a firearm, why wasn't there any conclusive physical evidence tying Rocky to it at the scene? As the days dragged on, rumors of possible extortion bubbled under the surface. Whispers emerged that Terrell might have demanded large sums of money in exchange for silence or changed testimony. Nothing was confirmed at first, but fans and journalists latched onto the idea. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about a shooting, it was about whether the entire situation might be a setup. By the end of this section of the trial, tension had soared so high that even the most trivial facts seemed to carry huge significance. People were desperate for the moment when a deciding piece of evidence would definitively prove guilt or innocence. Just when the courtroom spectacle seemed intense enough, Rihanna walked in with their children, turning what could have been a typical trial day into a must-see event. Few celebrities carry as much influence as Rihanna. Her presence alone spoke volumes. Here she was, quietly standing by her partner's side, refusing to let the fear of a possible guilty verdict push her into the shadows. From the moment she arrived, everyone in attendance could sense that this was more than just moral support. Reporters outside the courthouse buzzed with excitement. Rihanna had always been known for her business acumen, steering Fenty Beauty to global success, and her philanthropic work. But that day, she was simply there as a partner, a mother, and a person determined to keep her family together. Onlookers were shocked when they saw the couple's children in the courtroom. The general assumption is that celebrities usually keep their kids far away from any legal drama. Yet Rihanna chose differently. Some speculated it was an attempt to humanize Rocky in front of the jury, while others believed it reflected the family's genuine bond. The truth likely sits somewhere in between. They were a family in crisis, and they refused to hide. Then came that moment that could only be described as cinematic. After days of listening to testimony, the room was hushed as the clerk read the verdict, not guilty. In an instant, Rocky leapt into Rihanna's arms. Observers described it as a raw outpouring of relief, happiness, and maybe even disbelief. He didn't just walk over calmly, he jumped. It was as if an invisible weight he had been carrying for more than a year dissolved on the spot. On Rihanna's face, there were tears mixed with an unspoken certainty that justice had prevailed. People who watched the live stream or read accounts from inside the courtroom spoke of that moment for days afterward. Some labeled it a victory for the truth, others cynically shrugged it off as a celebrity advantage. But for Rihanna and Rocky, it didn't matter. They had survived one of the most harrowing experiences a family could go through, and they had done it together. Long before the verdict came in, the prosecution pushed a narrative that Rocky's fame didn't entitle him to special treatment. They insisted they were seeking accountability for anyone who violates the law, celebrity or not. Publicly, they warned that fame does not place anyone above the law, a statement that quickly made the rounds in media headlines. At first, plenty of people sided with the prosecution, believing the system needed to stand firm. Social media was rife with statements like, "We can't let another star get away with it." But as more trial details surfaced, particularly around the alleged inconsistencies in Terrell Efron's story, some of those initial supporters began to question if the case was built on shaky ground. The moment news emerged that Efron had once demanded an enormous amount of money, the narrative started tilting. Suddenly, the prosecutor's team found itself on the defensive, needing to convince the jury and the public that Terrell was a credible witness. Yet the more they insisted, the more it seemed to backfire. The press quickly latched onto any sign of contradiction. The claim that Rihanna and Rocky had manufactured a family image to sway the jury also drew scorn from fans who viewed the comment as tone-deaf. especially given that the couple's children are far from a new reality in their lives. By the time closing arguments rolled around, the tide of public opinion had shifted yet again. Even those who had once called for Rocky's conviction began criticizing the prosecution for failing to present definitive evidence. It was a classic case of a high-profile trial. The more the masses learned, the murkier it got. In the end, the swift verdict only amplified the scrutiny on how the prosecutors had handled the case. To them, it seemed the jury had made a hasty decision in Rocky's favor. To the defense's supporters, it was a glaring sign that the prosecution's argument had never truly stood on solid ground. When the clerk announced not guilty, the courtroom erupted into a flurry of reaction. Reporters raced to capture every nuance: how Rocky hugged Rihanna, how the defense team exhaled in relief, and how the prosecution team looked visibly deflated. Outside, the sidewalk filled with cheering fans and onlookers who had gathered in anticipation of the result. Within minutes, social media was ablaze with hashtags like #Justice for Rocky or #RockyVerdict. Officially, the Los Angeles County District Attorney expressed respect for the jury's decision, even though it wasn't the outcome they had hoped for. They reiterated their commitment to what they called the integrity of the justice system. But if the conclusion had proven anything, it was that the case's foundation might not have been as robust as prosecutors initially claimed. Terrell Efron's testimony, described by defense lawyers as riddled with contradictions, likely played a pivotal role in the jury's swift decision. The speed of the verdict became a story in its own right. For a trial that had dragged on for nearly a month, the jury needed only a short window. Some speculated around a few hours to arrive at an answer. Many took this as a sign that they found little credible evidence to prove Rocky's guilt. Others argued that the fame factor might have subconsciously influenced jurors who recognized the star power sitting before them. Either way, the aftermath of the trial hinged on that single question. Was this a fair reflection of insufficient proof, or a byproduct of the American love affair with celebrity culture? In the days following the verdict, talk shows, podcasts, and online forums buzzed with debate. Some credited Rihanna's unwavering presence with swaying the jury, though defense attorneys dismissed that as cynical speculation. Interviews with Rocky's lawyers revealed the emotional toll the trial had taken on the couple. The stress of potential jail time loomed large, especially with 2 young children at home. To the newly vindicated rapper and his family, the not guilty verdict felt like a second chance to move forward without the burden of an uncertain future. Beneath the headlines about A$AP Rocky's innocence, a quieter but equally compelling narrative emerged: the extortion allegations against Terrell Efron. Defense attorneys dropped hints early in the trial that Efron had demanded significant sums of money, some whispered a figure around $30 million, to keep certain details out of the public eye. If that were true, the ramifications would be enormous. While no official extortion charge has yet been filed, the notion that Efron might have vanished to an island after making demands was enough to raise eyebrows. Critics argued that the prosecution's case hinged on a potentially unreliable witness from the start. And as the trial progressed, many noticed that whenever Efron took the stand or his audio recordings were played, his story seemed to shift. The phrase "stranger to the truth" became a recurring descriptor among defense lawyers, pointing to every instance in which Efron contradicted himself. Journalists dug deeper, unearthing details that painted Efron in a questionable light. Was he genuinely seeking justice, or was he driven by personal vendettas, or the lure of a large payout? Rocky's team didn't hesitate to cast aspersions on his motives. In one memorable segment, an audio recording was played in court where Efron allegedly outlined his demands. What was initially interpreted by some as a damaging piece of evidence against Rocky turned out to reveal Efron's potential attempts at blackmail. According to the defense, this revelation obliterated the prosecution's central narrative. News outlets that initially championed Efron's claims found themselves rethinking their stance, running headlines like "Key Witness" or "Master Manipulator." By the time closing arguments arrived, the credibility question overshadowed everything else. If the man at the heart of the prosecution's case couldn't be trusted, then how could anyone justify a conviction? The final days of trial emphasized this doubt, paving the way for the jury's swift departure to the deliberation room and their equally swift conclusion. Now that the dust has settled, life for Rihanna and A$AP Rocky seems poised for a new chapter. Legal analysts said that once a not guilty verdict is delivered, there's typically a window of relief and readjustment. The couple certainly has plenty to focus on: Rihanna's booming business ventures, new collaborations for Rocky, and most importantly, their family. Some fans are already speculating that they might expand their philanthropic efforts, possibly turning their experience in the courtroom into a platform for legal reform or charitable advocacy. In the music world, whispers of new releases from Rocky are getting louder. Prior to the trial, the rapper had been teasing upcoming tracks and major brand deals. With the looming threat of a lengthy prison sentence gone, he now has the freedom to bring those projects to life. Rumor has it that he's been in talks to collaborate with high-profile artists, leveraging his momentum to push creative boundaries like never before. Meanwhile, Rihanna, fresh off the triumph of her brand's skyrocketing global influence, seems more determined than ever to support her partner's creative pursuits. The synergy between them hints at future joint venture. Could we see more Fenty marketing campaigns featuring Rocky? Perhaps an even bigger philanthropic initiative that merges music and charitable work. The possibilities are endless. But behind the glitz, the toll of this legal ordeal can't be ignored. Going through a criminal trial isn't easy for anyone, let alone a couple whose every move is scrutinized. Sources close to the family say that the experience brought them closer. In those tense moments before the verdict, the reality of losing precious years with his children weighed heavily on Rocky's mind. The same could be said for Rihanna, who refused to stay home or shy away from the public eye. Instead, she stood front and center, fully aware of the cameras, determined to let the world see her support. Naturally, no high-profile trial ends quietly, and this one is no exception. Since the verdict, a wave of new rumors has flooded social media, ranging from the absurd to the intriguingly plausible. Some claim that another potential legal battle looms, with Efron possibly seeking financial compensation through a civil suit. Others wonder if the district attorney's office will quietly revisit aspects of the case for possible perjury charges against Efron. As it stands, nothing has been confirmed, so it's all speculation. Industry insiders also note that controversies of this magnitude often open doors for exclusive interviews, documentaries, or even a tell-all memoir. Is it possible that Rocky might break his silence in a more candid format soon? Fans are already begging for a behind-the-scenes docuseries about the trial, hoping to glean fresh insights or even see rare footage. Then there's Rihanna, who typically protects her personal life, but who might decide it's time to share her perspective on what truly happened. On top of that, the internet is abuzz with speculation about the couple's dynamic going forward. Skeptics argue that the stress of a prolonged legal battle can crack even the strongest bonds. Admirers, on the other hand, see them as a prime example of resilience under pressure, a testament to how a family can stand united despite the worst possible circumstances. And if the rumors of a future child or even a marriage ceremony abound, well, that's the kind of talk that will keep fans hooked for months. In the end, the saga of A$AP Rocky's trial is a gripping portrait of what can happen when stardom, friendship, and the law collide. The single question that dominated from start to finish, did he or didn't he, found its official answer in two simple words: not guilty. But beyond the legal jargon lies a deeper reflection on celebrity culture, loyalty among friends, and the power of family unity. Fans watch their favorite rapper and his equally famous partner navigate a system that isn't always straightforward. Accusations swirled, allegations of extortion emerged, and the world got a glimpse of how a high-profile couple handles a life-altering crisis in real time. In many ways, it was a story that merged heartbreak, tension, and ultimately relief. Elements that underscore the reality that even immense fame can't shield someone from fear and uncertainty. For Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, this is more than a media headline. It's a chapter in their personal journey. Their experience forces us to consider how much weight we give to public opinion, how easily rumors can spiral into facts, and how a swift verdict can spark endless debate. Are we looking at a vindication of the innocent or a product of starstruck jurors? The answer, like so many things in today's media-saturated world, depends on who you ask. But one thing is clear: the couple is pressing forward. They're leveraging their enormous platforms to expand their brands, support each other's ambitions, and embrace family life. Whether or not Terrell Efron's side of the story will spawn further legal battles is anybody's guess. What we do know is that both Rihanna and Rocky emerged with their reputations intact, and the lesson that unity, loyalty, and clear-cut evidence still carry weight in the corridors of justice. The dust might be settling now, but the aftershocks of this trial will likely linger. As with any dramatic headline, there are rumors that may never be put to rest. After all, how often do we see legal cases involving superstars end this decisively? One thing's for sure: the story of A$AP Rocky and Rihanna's battle in the courtroom has already become a milestone moment in the entertainment world, an event that's certain to spawn countless theories, discussions, and maybe even future legal twists no one sees coming.